Hey everybody, I'm Allegra. Thank you so much for being here today. And I'm scrolling through to find it in my inbox. I am answering some questions that someone in my email community sent my way after watching my December workshop. I have shared that link below. It was a workshop about how cool it is to create free experiences to invite people to. I won't dive into all the details here. You can find everything in that link. But long story short, she was inspired by that talk and has decided to start hosting a weekly open connection and conversation call for people in her community, in her circle, in her network, her friends, all about, creating positivity, sharing new ideas. It's going to be an awesome opportunity. And she's going to be, I think, sharing new ideas each week. It's a great experiment to run. If you aren't kind of creating stuff like that, I encourage you to watch the workshop and consider putting some things on the calendar for yourself. So she reached out and really wanted to kind of understand some of the nuts and bolts of hosting one of these conversations. She's going to be running it on Zoom. And I totally understand why she's asking these questions, because I have asked those questions in the past. I have tried to find out how people run discovery calls. How do people structure coaching engagements? What is the first steps of, opening an Instagram page? Like, there's so many different things to practice in the art of being a coach, in the craft of being a coach, that it is, it makes a lot of sense that we want to seek out kind of best practices to learn from. And there is something to that. Oliver Burkeman, in one of his books, I don't know if it was 4,000 Weeks or The Antidote to Happiness, but, he said originality follows unoriginality. And what he meant is that at the beginning of our journey, it is very helpful to follow the models of those ahead of us and to learn through kind of replicating some of their practices. And as time goes on, we start to find our own voice. We start to figure out our own style. And, your secret sauce as a coach is going to emerge as a result of time and practice. And one of the ways to do that is to say, well, how did they do it? And let me try it that way and then put my spin on it. At the same time, I cannot emphasize enough how important it is to get out there and start practicing. If you are waiting for the right set of steps before you begin to protect yourself from failure or messing up, you're never going to find it, because everything is messy when we begin. You can read books and watch the masters and listen to me talk about how to play the piano, but until you actually sit down and start playing the piano, it's never going to come together. It's always just going to live in your imagination, and it's going to be messy. So as you go down these paths, as you try new things, as you take inspiration and start running your own experiments, part of that is being willing to be a beginner and to screw things up and to know that it might not work out great the first time, but that you're going to learn from it and that it's going to be awesome. And I want you to give yourself credit for simply being willing to get into the arena, to step into the territory, to say, I've done all the learning that I can, and now I'm going to try it myself. All right. So with all of these things in mind, I'm going to get to her questions. And again, they are about some of the nuts and bolts around running a Zoom workshop for people. What I'm about to share is not the right way. It is simply how I potentially would approach it. These are ideas. I am putting them on the table. You do not have to pick them up. Okay. What I love doing is helping coaches come up with could lists. So what I'm going to be sharing, even though they're things that I've kind of practiced for myself, they're really just things that you could do, and pick and choose what sounds right and go try it for yourself, because that's where you're going to learn. So question number 1, once in the room, how do I start the conversation? Well, you start it like you would start any conversation. You say hello. I like using Zoom chats a lot. I invite people to share where they're calling from or, zooming in from. Maybe I'll have a fun icebreaker question that I'll put up on the screen. I mean, just November, I was Googling good icebreaker questions. I'm always looking for fun ways to start things off. So it's fun to have music playing. You can actually have songs playing when people are coming into the room. That kind of sets a vibe. The one thing that I've learned that has been helpful is give people something to do at the beginning, because then it makes them feel like they're active participants in the workshop and not just kind of passively watching. So ask them to type in the chat, ask them to share an emoji. They can practice raising their hand in Zoom. There are lots of ways to kind of connect people to the experience more than just being an observer. Number 2, how do I end the conversation? Well, again, how would you end any conversation? I like to ask people to share in the chat what their biggest takeaway was. That can be really helpful. You can use something like a Jamboard and invite people to post like whiteboards, or use a digital whiteboard and post a link, and people can post what their insights were. There are lots of closing activities. You can just Google that, like fun closing activities for meetings, and there's so many cool ideas. You can play music on the way out. I like to ask people to unmute and say goodbye so we can all hear each other, kind of like we were in the same place. So again, lots of creative options there. Do people need to introduce themselves individually, or can I just say hi as they arrive? All of it. It kind of depends on group size, what your natural vibe is. I have Relator as a top strength, so I really like, making sure people feel seen. I like to say hi to the individual names that I see popping in. And introductions really kind of depend on group size and timing. You have to imagine if you have a group of 5, and if each person takes 60 seconds, which is tough, to introduce themselves, that's 5 minutes of introductions. Not a problem. It can be really great. And you kind of have to feel out how you want what the intention of the gathering is, how you want the flow to go, the size. You can always use that chat space again for people to introduce themselves. So yeah, there's no right answer there, as with all these things, but those are some things to consider. Number 4, how do I casually mention coaching, and when do I mention it without sounding like I'm selling? Well, my first kind of zoomed out question of that is what's wrong with selling anything? It's okay that you're selling coaching. You have a souvenir in a souvenir shop, and it's okay to let people know that you have a souvenir shop, because what these workshops are part of your free museum. Every month I host a workshop. It's open to the public. You are invited to come. Everybody in my email community gets the link, gets the Zoom link. You can join that below. And I offer those without expectation. And at the beginning of all those workshops, I let people know, hey, if you are looking for support beyond this workshop, you can join the community I run for coaches called Misfit to Maverick. That is also linked below. This video is part of my free museum, and I'm letting you know that I have a souvenir shop if you would like to check it out. And that's the casual and easy way to do it. The way to do it really is to kind of detach from it, to just say, yeah, I've got this cool thing. If you'd like to check it out, that's awesome. Number 5, should I limit the number of people? You could limit the number of people. One of the things I love to help coaches do is shift from should to could. The coaching industrial complex puts so many rules on the table, and I want to invite you to question all of those. And one of the easiest ways is to think about what you should be doing and shift it all into what you could be doing. So you could limit the number of people. Would you like to limit it to 3 to 5? Some might argue that having too many people wanting to come to a workshop is a good problem to have. There's no right answer here. It's really what feels right for you for this first time that you want to try it. You can change it the next time. This is your first time. Change it up. It's good. 6, can I say, please show up by 10:05 because I'm going to lock the room to keep it private? Yes, of course you can. This is your workshop. This is the party that you're throwing. Throw a party that you want to go to. If you want to say doors close at 10:05, then just let people know. As long as I think we let people know in advance, then it's on them and it's their choice to when they show up. And if you'd like to close the doors by 10:05, then give it a shot. See how it feels. Number 7, I want to use the raise hand feature so we don't talk over each other. Is it difficult? Is there a different or better way? No, the raise hand feature is very easy. You just have to show people where it is. It's at the bottom of the Zoom window under the reactions button, and they can click raise hand. Sometimes if I have a larger workshop, I'll ask people to practice at the beginning so they all kind of know how to use it. The raise hand feature is particularly helpful when it's a larger group, because it's harder to kind of just invite people to unmute themselves, because you might have people talking over one another. So it kind of depends on group size. If I have a group size of 5 or 6, I won't push the raise hand much. I'll just say, does anyone have a question? Feel free to unmute yourself, and then I'll just pause and wait. Another thing, this is kind of a side tip. because your last question was any other tips. Yes. Don't be afraid of silence. I think when we hold space, when we facilitate a conversation, we think that all of the air needs to be taken up or that something is going wrong. I really try and practice, if I'm saying, does anyone else have any other questions? I will wait. And I'll just let it be silent. 9 times out of 10, someone asks a question after there's been a bit of a pause. Because we all just need room to marinate, to kind of notice what pops up. And just know that. Don't panic if you ask a question and it's quiet. It's okay to let people just kind of sit with that. And the other tip that I'd have is go have fun. Nothing is going to go wrong. Congratulations on setting up this date, time, and place. Congratulations on extending this invitation. You are making things real. You are getting out of your head and going out and trying something. And it could be messy, but it's going to be incredible. And you're going to learn so much. And you're going to have so much fun. And you're going to hang up and be like, oh my gosh, can I do that again? And you're going to reflect back and think, well, next time I'm going to try it this way. But this is the way. It's through practice and experimenting. And that you are willing to move from this place of just thinking about how it's going to go to actually trying it for yourself is huge. So I hope that these answers have been helpful. If you have any more, feel free to post them in the comments below. Again, if any of you have questions, send them my way. Your questions inspire my work, so I am happy to respond. And if you want to check out some of the other things, feel free. The links are below. You can sign up for my upcoming workshops. You can check out Misfit to Maverick and join anytime. And you're all awesome. Talk to you soon.